What's up, everybody? Welcome into MLB DFS Live for Wednesday, June 16th. I'm your host, Ben Husser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, we got a smaller slate today than the past few days. Monday and Tuesday, we had just monster baseball slates. I was a little bit under the weather. Feeling better today, though, for this, I think, 8 games. So, nice little mid-sized slate. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. Coming off a big night last night. Obviously fading the San Diego chalk when they couldn't even touch Gigi Gonzalez, which is crazy. But yeah, been doing good. Rube already is in the chat. He asked, "Is DeGrom a good play tonight?" So we're getting in with the questions quick.
Yeah, get your questions ready. Drop them in the chat. We will definitely get right into this pitcher thing, but I do wanna say, Bills, you in particular. I've had some big hot streaks in baseball this season. You've been absolutely on fire. The past, really like the last month. You guys can get access to our core plays for every slate. dfskarma.com/MLB. I mean, I know quite a few people in Discord have talked about how they've already they signed up about a month ago and they paid off their subscription for the season fairly quickly off of a couple nights from me. Bales has just been smashing, so head over to the site and check that out if you're interested. But we'll jump right into the pitchers here. It's so funny. We had these two huge slates on Monday and Tuesday, and there just wasn't any pitchers, especially yesterday. I mean, it was pretty gross. Monday we had Glass now who got hurt, and then really no one after him. Tonight, smaller slate, but we've got some big names. We have Jacob DeGrom, we have Garrett Cole, we have Clayton Kershaw, we have Zach Wheeler, we have potentially chalk Zach Greinke. Like, there's a lot going on the slate. So we'll dive right in to answer Rube's question of is DeGrom a good play? I mean, I think he is. I think if people, I don't know if people will play him or not. I'm assuming like he'll still be pretty chalky because it's Degrom. But yeah, he's still the best play to me. I don't think, although the Mets are dumb, I completely agree. The Mets are stupid, but I just don't see why they would trot him out there if they're gonna pull him early or if they think they're gonna pull him early. Like I'm assuming that he's relatively good to go. He's not really a guy that has a super like I'm not expecting him to go 110 pitches anyways if I roster him, but he's so efficient and he's so good with his strikeouts that it doesn't matter. And this is obviously a positive strikeout matchup with how much the Cubs strike out. So I think he's still the best play to me. He's just in a tier of his own, especially with all of this, spin rate stuff going on. Like he's basically like the number one pitcher, and there's like a big gap before we get to anybody else. So I do think he's a good play, and I still think he's the top play tonight. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me.
No, I agree. I think he's by far really, and it's crazy to say that anyone's by far, but I do think that he's by far the best pitcher in baseball. And when you look at it, he's only slightly more expensive than Garrett Cole. He's 1,000 more than Clayton Kershaw. And even if you're putting him on like some type of pitch count, which I don't believe that they're going to do, I think they're going to let him throw. If something flares up, they'll probably pull him early again. Um, it's just kind of the same thing that's been happening. But against Colorado, he dropped over 25 on 63 pitches. He dropped over 30 against Arizona on 70 pitches. When he gets up to 90 or so pitches, especially in a good matchup, he's scoring like 40 plus. And if you just look at the other pitchers, I know there's a lot of aces, but are you really anticipating 40 plus from Garrett Cole? Probably not, especially against Toronto. Are you anticipating it from Clayton Kershaw? No, not really. And don't get me wrong, I think they're really good plays. I think that there's a lot of good pitchers tonight, but Jacob DeGrom is just far and away the best. And the way that he's throwing right now, it's more or less impossible to avoid him, especially if he's going to throw 90 plus pitches.
Yeah, I just quick looked at ownership projections. He is projecting around 40% owned, so he's going to be chalky. He's the best play tonight. So I think the question that we're looking for on this slate is what you're doing with your SP2 on DraftKings. Are you going to spend up for one of the other aces, or are you going to look at Zach Greinke, who is clearly mispriced, right, at $7,400. It is too cheap. He gets the positive matchup against Texas. You and I were briefly talking about it before we fired the stream up. I can't in good conscience play chalk Zach Greinke when we have Garrett Cole and Clayton Kershaw on the slate. Like imagine before the season someone was like, okay, so we have a slate with DeGrom, Garrett Cole, and Clayton Kershaw, and Zach Wheeler for that matter, who's been pitching out of his mind. We have all those guys on the slate, and everyone is going to play Zach Greinke. Like, you'd be like, what are you talking about? But I mean, the price, I get it. I don't know. I haven't made a decision. It makes sense to just play him in cash games, right? Because he's too cheap. He's going to be owned.
Yep.
Just play him in cash and move on. But oh man, it's so tough for me to want to play him with some of these other guys we have on the slate.
So the way I'm kind of looking at it is, if anyone tells me that they're using Zach Greinke in cash, whatever, I'm not going to talk them off of it because he is grossly mispriced, and I think that he is relatively safe in the matchup. If you ask me, I think that the top two pitching options are Jacob deGrom and Clayton Kershaw. No problems whatsoever with Garrett Cole. I think if you want to play him, that's 100% reasonable. Same goes with Zach Wheeler. But if you're just looking at Greinke, I feel like, especially in tournaments, just move to Anthony DeSclafani. He's arguably a better pitcher at this point. He gets slightly worse matchup, but who really cares? Like, Greinke has literally no strikeout upside. So I would just drop down the 400 and go to DeSclafani. Or if you want to get real weird, spend an extra 100 and play Ian Anderson. I don't like the matchup against Boston whatsoever, but who cares? At least he's a good pitcher that has upside, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. If Greinke is going to be super chalky, which I mean, I do think he'll be owned. I don't think he probably won't be the second highest owned, maybe in cash. But regardless, I just don't see a reason to play him whenever he's owned. So I'm kind of in agreement with you. But yeah, I would rank them personally: DeGrom, Kershaw, and then Cole, and then Wheeler probably. Cole and Wheeler just have tough matchups, right? Like I'm not even worried about the whole foreign substance thing with Cole. Like it's just the Blue Jays are good, man, and they have a lot of good hitters. Like it's a tough matchup when you're paying top dollar for them and you have DeGrom there. I mean, the Phillies team total, it's dropped down to around 3.1, 3.2. If you look season long wise, their numbers against lefties aren't good. Like you think of them having these really good right-handed batters, but they just haven't been great against lefties. I like to play Kershaw in these spots, and I mean Vegas really really likes him per usual. I mean Vegas is always going to like the Dodgers and Kershaw whenever he's pitching, but I mean that team total is really low, and it's easy to fit him with DeGrom. It's not hard, so I agree with you. I do have Kershaw number 2 on the slate.
Yeah, it's a really good strikeout matchup too, is the thing. So
yeah, they strike out a ton against lefties, man. A lot more than you would think just talking about it.
Yep. No, yeah, I think Kershaw's my 2 as well, and then Garrett Cole probably 3, Zach Wheeler 4. Keeping Zach Greinke off the list because I'm not going to play him in tournaments anyway. But
yeah,
you get it.
I do agree that Anderson and DeSclafani are probably the pivots off of Greinke in that mid tier. I like Anderson slightly more than DeSclafani, but you could talk me into either. I don't want to mess around with Ober or anything like that. I think if you wanted one cheap guy, probably go back to Keegan Aiken just because I like to pick on the Indians. I think he actually faced the Indians in one of his starts, unless I am mistaking it. But I think he had an okay start against the Indians once.
Yeah, already. he looked good against them.
Yeah, they just struggle, especially with Reyes injured. They just struggle against lefties. Like if you can navigate Jose Ramirez, like they really don't have anyone that you're super scared of there. So I think if you want like one punt, you could look at him in tournaments, but definitely not a cash game play for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think on the other side, Savali is fine. I have no issues really whatsoever. If you want to take your shot on him, that's probably about it, though, right?
Yeah, I don't see anyone else I'm super interested in here. I think I'm double spending here, going double ace, or if you want to mess around with one of those mid tier guys, Greinke, Anderson, DeSclafani, I think that's probably the best builds. But I think just getting different combos of these top guys is probably the way to go. If I was gonna play, I normally play one or two teams. Gonna play 10+ teams, I would be rotating those top guys before I was even messing with the mid tier. I think.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. I think it's not going to be that difficult in cash, but when you look in tournaments and like you're going for a full stack, I think it might actually be a little bit tougher, and you might have to go down to someone like Anderson or DeSclafani. But just to play Kershaw and DeGrom together, I don't think it's going to be very difficult.
I agree. All right, let's talk stacks so we don't forget before we get into these positional plays because the last time, because there's no stacks button on the side of my screen, I literally skipped over it. So let's talk stacks before we get into these positional plays. I think the Astros are probably number one against Jordan Lyles, cumulative ownership wise, but my personal favorite is I think the Yankee. I really like the Yankees and the Braves. I think Yankees, Braves, Astros are my top three, but I think I would actually put Astros third. I really like the Yankees. Stripling's a guy that we've talked about this a couple times this season, but since the start of last season, he's actually given up a higher ISO to righties than lefties. Obviously, the Yankees are full of right-handed power hitters, and the Braves. I mean, I'm not scared of picking on Richards whatsoever, and I just the Braves are one of my favorite teams to stack, given the amount of power that they have. So I actually think that's my favorite two today ahead of the Astros.
Yeah, I agree that those are the top three. I think my number one is going to be the Astros. My number two will be the Yankees, and three will be the Braves. I don't have any issues with any of the three. I just generally I look more for home runs, and Garrett Richards just doesn't really give up that many. Um, so I feel like I would be attacking Lyles or Stripling a little bit more, but I think that all three offenses are in really, really good spots for tonight.
Is there any like lower owned ones that you're looking at? I mean, I think the Twins could maybe get some run against the lefty there, but I don't know the Twins. I don't know, man. I'm sick of stacking the Twins. I feel like they've let me
Every
they
day.
won they won me 10 grand, right? The two one like the mini stack, but I don't know, man. I feel like other than that one night where everything clicked, I've just been chasing my losses with the Twins over and over again this season.
Yeah, I every time I play the Twins, it seems like they just do nothing. I think both sides of that game. I don't think that Bailey over is very good. I think both sides of that game are completely fine. I think if you want to play the Mets, I have no issues with that. Oddly enough, I do think that San Fran is decent, but more or less because the Arizona bullpen is so bad.
Yeah.
Because Merrill Kelly's, I know his numbers this year look really bad, but if you look at all his advanced stuff, it's really fine. I think his xFIP's a bit under 4. Nothing that suggests he's as bad as he has been, but realistically, you could always get like that bad start, and if you do, and he gets out of there pretty quick, you have a lot of innings against a bad Arizona bullpen. So I think that San Fran's an interesting spot just because I do generally like some of their players. But I think that's probably about it. I don't think there's anyone else just because the amount of pitchers in the slate that I'm really overly looking into.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you that the Giants were my lower owned one. So we agree on the top three, just maybe not the order. So top three being Astros, Braves, and Yankees, and then I think both of our lower owned ones was the Giants. I'm actually in on that, and yeah, we've talked about this Arizona bullpen a couple times this season, but they're just terrible. I don't know. I don't know why I always like to play the Giants in DFS for some reason, even though they're not one of the better teams. But I feel like I always like to play them for whatever reason.
Yeah, I do that all the time too. They're just like an easy team to root for. It doesn't
They're
make
the
any sense.
anti Twins, dude. They're easy to stack. And like for
That's
in
fair.
years past, Posey obviously he's been good this year, but he used to be really good. Brandon Belt, used to be better than he is now. They actually used to have some decent some decent players. But yeah, I like your
Yeah, but now we're
predictions.
just all in on Brandon Crawford. He
Yeah,
used to be the
Crawford.
glove, and now all
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
sudden
He used to
he's
be the
just a
guy that you're
power
like, man,
shortstop.
I love this stack, but I don't want to put him in there. But now, yeah, now he's like the first guy in for you. It's amazing.
Yep.
All right, let's move on here and break down our favorite plays at each position. If you guys have any questions on stacks or pitchers that we did not cover, or if you missed something, go ahead and ask, and we will answer it. Starting off at catcher here, I'll kick to you first. I'm gonna need to save here. Like if I'm gonna play Kershaw and DeGrom, I'm gonna need to save here. So I don't know if you're doing the same thing or if you're gonna use one of those mid-tier pitchers and you're gonna have some money to spend up at catcher.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm spending up, I think it probably is going to end up being Buster Posey. I think that's really the only actual spend up that I like. Outside of that, like Maldonado, I don't have any problems if you want to just get Houston. Kevin Smith at 2,600 is way too cheap. If he's in the lineup, especially if he's hitting more towards the top, like fifth or sixth, Ryan Jeffers at 2,800 is too cheap. Austin Hedges, Thomas Nito at 25. I'm fine with both of them. And then that's probably it. I think if you want like Jonah Heim or something, you can. He's not really, a player that's going to stick out or anything. But I guess I feel like if you're paying 2,600, you're probably just playing Kevin Smith then there, right?
Yeah, I like Higashioka down there as well, under 3K. I definitely think you can use him if you're playing Yankees. But yeah, him, Jeffers. Agree, Posey's probably the best spend up there. I'm with you on that. I just don't know if I'll have the money to spend, so that might be a San Fran stack only for me. But yeah, I think there's actually some decent sub 3K options today, so it makes it even better for spending up at pitcher, in my opinion.
Yep, I completely agree there.
All right, first base. I want to spend up here. I don't know if I will be able to, but I have Freeman and Vlad Jr. like well ahead of everyone at this position. So people are not going to want to use Vlad. Freeman, I mean, I don't need to discuss this. People know I love to play Freeman at home, love to play him against righties. It just makes a ton of sense. Vlad is such a good tournament play. He's never owned anyways, for whatever reason. He's never owned against righties. And people are not going to play him against Garrett Cole because Garrett Cole's projecting for 40% ownership. So literally no one's going to play him. But when you think about it, what does Vlad hit very well? Fastballs. What does Garrett Cole throw a ton? Fastballs. Like he really challenges you with this fastball. He throws fastballs a ton. He has one of the best fastballs in baseball. So there's no guarantee that Vlad's going to do well tonight. But he matches up well against him. He's been completely locked in. He's been literally the best hitter in baseball this season. So I think for tournaments, especially if you're not playing Garrett Cole in your lineup, just get that one off of Vlad Jr. And it seems like, Cole's like a Max Scherzer. Like he's going to give up a home run, it seems, pretty much every start. So I think Vlad is a super good tournament play today.
Yeah, I like Vlad. I have no issues with it. I do believe that Freddie Freeman is head and shoulders above the rest. Like if you can get to him in cash, that's 100% where I would go. I think Yuli Gurriel is a really good play. You have three guys for San Fran in Lamont Wade, Wilmer Flores, and Brandon Belt. I think all three are fine depending on where they're hitting. I know you're probably not going to like it, but if you need to save, Yu Chang's 2,600. He's hitting sixth. It's against a lefty. I don't think he's that bad of a play, honestly.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I like Bradley too from the Indians. Honestly, he's just much more expensive. And then I would throw in Dahlbeck is still min price. I mean, you can definitely use him in cash games as a punt and tournaments as a one off. I mean, I just don't see why he's min priced.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you want to get kind of weird, Nate Lowe is solid. He's only 3,900. He's hitting second for Texas, and seems like Greinke's going to be owned relatively high. So if you kind of want to go at Greinke, there you go.
Yep, I agree. Second base, I'll let you start off here. Someone just messaged me in Discord that they're gonna have a soccer takedown. So if you guys don't know, free soccer advice from myself, from Frosty, who is our soccer guy. I have recently taken on soccer. I'm becoming a full-fledged soccer analyst here. We did this for free. Like if you don't, if you have subscriptions elsewhere, you don't want to spend money, whatever. Soccer, literally free. Get in the Discord. It costs us literally $0.00. You just click the banner, join the Discord, get in the soccer channel. Every day I'm posting stuff, and it's fun. I mean, it's all day. Like baseball, you gotta wait till the night to sweat. Soccer's been starting early mornings, 9 a.m. So you get to sweat all day. But second base, Bales, lead us off here.
All right. If you're spending up, Jose Altuve clearly is the top guy for me. If you don't want to go that high, Ozzy Albies is still underpriced at 4,300. 100 below him, I have no problems with DJ LeMahieu. I just prefer Albies. And then if you need to save, Rougned Odor is 3,100 and Marwin Gonzalez is 23. So getting someone at 2,300 when you want to spend up on two pitchers that's leading off in one of the top offenses in the MLB, I mean, it's not really that bad of a thing to do. And then obviously if you want to spend up on someone like Jorge Polanco, I have no problems whatsoever with that either.
Yeah, there's some good cheap options here, right? You talked about Odor. I think he's kind of been our boy this year. For punt, well, maybe not ours. I have used him. I have used him as a punt many times. So you do have him there. Dylan Moore's under 3K for like a lower owned one. We've discussed Ober not being as good as we think. Moore has power to both sides of the plate, right? I don't care if it's lefty or righty. Obviously, we would prefer him against lefties, but for 2,600, he does have power. So I like that. And then Ozzy Albies at 4,300, which you talked about, is a clear misprice at 4,300. He's been this price for the last couple weeks. I don't care what he's been doing at the plate. I don't care if he was in an 0 for 40 slump. I just don't think he should ever be this price because we know the upside that he brings. Obviously, it just makes it easy to stack the Braves when someone like him, who's typically a 5K plus hitter, is 4,300. So I think he's a clear misprice. And I do agree Altuve is the best spend up, but Albies really sticks out to me. I'll probably end up using him today.
Yeah, I agree. I think the crazy thing with Albies is that he's not even playing bad right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem like at least the last couple seasons, DraftKings picks certain batters for whatever reason, and they just never price them up. Like I remember 3 years ago, whatever it was, Matt Carpenter was like the best hitter on the planet, and he was like 3K every single day. Like it made no sense. I don't know for whatever reason they pick certain players and they just never move their price up.
They were probably just waiting for Matt Carpenter to come back down to earth.
Yeah, definitely, but it just makes no sense sometimes what they do.
No, I agree.
And yeah, it's been happening with Albies as well the last couple weeks. Third base, I mean, I think Josh Donaldson's probably going to be pretty chalky here against a lefty. I think that's fine. You can one-off him. You can use him in a mini stack. It's just he's 5K. I don't think he's a must play at that price, but I do think he's probably going to be the highest owned play. You have Bregman, Devers up there as well. Those guys are perfectly fine spend ups. I think for cheap, probably looking at Kyle Seager for me. He's inconsistent because he strikes out a good bit. But if you look at his batted ball data, he's still well over 48, 49% in hard hits and fly balls over the last couple weeks, and good marks for the season as well. So I think if you want a cheaper guy, it's Seager. If you're spending up, you can use Donaldson, who I think is going to be chalky, or you have Devers and Alex Bregman as well up there.
Yeah, I think I actually prefer Gio Urshela to someone like Donaldson. I'll take the 600 salary and just play Urshela. Another guy that's just kind of stupid priced right now, Jonathan VR. He's 4,300. I mean, the dude's just literally on fire. He's hitting like 350 over his last 10. He has stolen base upside. He can hit for extra bases. I mean, it wasn't very long ago that he was over 5K, and now he's 4,300, and he's done nothing but like score double-digit fantasy points since then. So I don't know why they would have dropped his price so much.
Yeah. Completely agree with you. If you had to, so you're just playing. If you had to pick just one third baseman, are you picking Urshela?
Yeah, I think Urshela would probably be the guy.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily disagree with you there. Shortstop, another Yankee sticks out to me. Gleyber Torres, I think, is a great play at his price tag tonight. You have Lindor right there at 4,500 as well. I like those two guys in the mid tier. Um, is there anyone cheaper? I mean, obviously, if you're spending up, it's probably Xander Bogaerts. But is there anyone cheaper you like here at shortstop below those mid tier, mid 4K guys?
Yeah, well, Marwin Gonzalez has shortstop eligibility, so 2,300, he's just way too cheap. And Ahmed Rosario at 3,800. I don't know if you've seen what he's been doing, but he is probably the hottest hitter in the MLB right now, and
Oh yeah,
he's 3,800.
the Cleveland resident Cleveland fans here are going crazy over some Ahmed Rosario.
To be fair, it's warranted right now. The
Yeah,
dude is on
no, he's been good.
fire.
He actually he had really good underlying metrics like earlier on in the season, and it just wasn't translating. He wasn't getting a ton of at bats, but yeah, he's been really good. Good price. So I guess you could throw him. His price probably is cash game playable, so it's probably between him and Gleyber Torres for me in cash games today.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable pairing. I would add Lindor in there as well, just because he's just so consistent, and it's not like you're paying 5,000 for him or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the beginning of the season, as long as Lindor was under 5K, I would be playing him. And I'm actually surprised I haven't played him more than I have, but it just seems like they don't care and they're just going to keep him in this, mid to high 4K tier. As long as he's under 5K, I do think he's a good play.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, and we'll finish up here at outfield. I think in terms of spend ups, it's going to be the two Yankees guys for me, Stan Judge. You have Acuna as well, who I think is a great play, and then the Astros. They're just not as expensive, right? Like Kyle Tucker still is 4,100. I don't know what he has to do to get up to the high 4Ks, but he's still 4,100. I'm shocked he's even gotten that high because he was just high threes for a while. Brantley's below 4K, so I think that covers pretty much the chalkier guys. You could look at someone like Harold Ramirez for the Indians. I think is a good play at his price tag, but I haven't messed with my lineups a ton. I don't know how much money I'll have to spend here, but I definitely want to get at least one of those Yankees guys in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Abraham Almonte is hitting fourth. He is 2,300. It's just a crazy bad price tag. I think you can go like Alex Verdugo as well. He's only 3,800. And if you still want part of Houston, but you don't necessarily want to pay for like the top guys like Jordan, well, one, I think that Michael Brantley's price tag is ridiculous. He's been on fire. Under 4K is just stupid. He's back up to hitting second. Correa dropped to sixth. But if you want other guys, Chase McCormick and Miles Straw, don't shy away from them just because they're hitting late in the lineup. They are both just absolutely scorching the ball right now. And seventh and eighth is going to keep their ownership low. So I feel like it's a good spot to kind of stack the back end or back to front of Houston's lineup tonight.
Yeah, that's always a good move, especially when you think the stack's going to be decently owned. Get some of those bottom guys in, and you don't have to. We've talked about this many times as well. You don't have to take the 1 through 4 or like the 5 through 9. Like you can mix it up. Get some guys from the top, throw 1 or 2 in from the bottom, just to mix it up a little bit. But I think that's a good call. I just quick built a dummy cash lineup here. I think I'm gonna have to choose between a Yankees guy or Acuna. I think it's going to be one of them. Almonte's a stone lock, I think, for sure at his price. It's a good call by you. So you put him in there. And then I think if I'm going to play Freeman, I'm going to need Acuna or one of the Yankees guys. I don't think I'll be able to play both. So I think that's a decision. Probably lean towards Acuna, to be honest, if I'm playing Freeman.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I would go to, honestly.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. I think we covered the slate pretty well. Before we head out, Bales, I need your home run call for tonight.
I will go with Mike Yastrzemski.
I like it. I like that team. I like that call. I'm gonna go with Almonte. Honestly, we got to get the good mojo going.
I
here
like
because
it.
Need the good vibes if we're gonna be playing him. So I'm gonna go with Almonte. But former Indian, Almonte,
Yeah,
so that's good.
you're
He's
such
also
a
like
homer.
dude, he's literally one giant steroid, as well. He's just massive. So I think there's a good chance he hits home run tonight. For being honest.
I like it. I think that's a good call, and I like getting the juju flowing for a good night.
All right. If you guys have any further questions, you can find us in Discord. As I said at the top of the stream, you can get our Discord for free. Just head to dfskarma.com and click the top banner. With that being said,